So we're continuing our introduction to geometry, and we've got a quick video here talking about finding points on segments. We're going to talk about really one in particular here, and then a whole bunch of different things that kind of go along with it. And then later we'll discuss finding points that are not necessarily this one special point. So let's just go straight to defining a couple things. So there are two definitions that we want to get out of the way. The first one is the definition of a midpoint. So a midpoint is just the point that divides a segment into two congruent segments. So it's pretty straightforward. If I have a segment here, the midpoint is just the point that is exactly halfway between these two endpoints. So for example, it looks like it's about here. A lot of times we'll label the point M for midpoint, and what we're going to do to mark that this is exactly halfway in between is I'm actually going to use these hash marks. These hash marks show me that the two segments are congruent to each other. So one way of thinking about this is, this point is halfway between this length. The length of AM is equal to the length of MB, or another way, and this is the good definition that we're going to use, is that it divides the segment into two congruent segments. So segment AM will be congruent to segment MB. Second definition is segment bisector. So to bisect, this word's going to come up a lot because we're going to bisect other things as well. Pretty soon we're going to bisect angles. And right now, though, we're just bisecting a segment. So what it means is it's a point, ray, line segment, plane, line, or anything at all that intersects a segment at its midpoint. So for example, if I have another line, that's going to be way off. If I have another line that goes through my midpoint like this, I can call it a segment bisector. So it doesn't need to necessarily go through this like perpendicularly, or it doesn't need to be a segment or just a point. It just needs to go through the midpoint, and it bisects the segment, divides it into these two congruent segments. So that's really all that we need to talk about here to get us going. Just two simple definitions, and then we'll move into some more interesting things later.